This is 4.4 in Schweter's math class. So combining percents. We're going to skip that first question. You can go back to it and answer it afterwards. PST, when you see PST as opposed to GST, it means provincial sales tax. In Alberta, we don't have any provincial sales tax, but each province gets to set their own provincial sales tax. It can be as high as 10, 12, 14%, or zero, as low as zero. So GST means goods and service tax, which means it's all across Canada, not just province. Okay, so Alberta has 5% GST and 0% PST. If you were in Saskatchewan, let's say, it would be they would have a percent sales tax, so that they would have to add that on. So first question: a store advertises 40% off. You purchase an item regularly priced at $100. What is the discount for the item? 40% is the discount times $100. We know that we can't use 40% as a 40, so we change that to a decimal. Or sorry, times 100 equals $40. So the discount for the item is $40. The sale price of the item, because the discount is $100, we take $100 and we subtract the discount, leaving us with a sale price of $60. What percent of the original price are you paying? You're paying 60, so 60 of 100, because this is dollars and this is dollars, equals 60%. So we are paying 60% of the original price. How are the percent discounts and the percent of the original price related? Use a grid to explain your answers. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares. We are paying 60% of this. So you fill on all of those. The discount is in red. So there's 40% or 4 10 squares that don't count. So we pay this. This plus this equals 100. How could you estimate the price of something that has a 40% discount? You could take 10% of it and you could times it by 4. 10% is easy because you just move the decimal over one spot and it equals, you can times it by 4, or times by 2, times by 2. Okay? Suppose GST is 5% and PST is 7%. You purchase an item for $100, represent the GST and PST on a 100 grid. So 5% is 5 squares, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 drawn in. The PST would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 squares. So the PST would be, the total would be 12%. How much is the GST? How much is the PST? 5%, 7%. How much tax would you pay altogether? 5 plus 7 equals 12%. What is your total tax as a percent of $100? How does this percent value compare to the sum of the percent values for GST and PST? What is your total tax? Total tax is $12, because 12% turns to 0.12 times $100 times $100 equals $12. How does this percent value compare to the sum of the percent values of GST and PSC? 12 equals 12%, because we're using $100, so it's pretty easy. Suppose an item is regularly priced at $200 and is on sale for 10% off. PSC is 7% and GST is 5%. So when it's 10% off, you take the 10% off first, and then you add the PST and the GST, because it's only on what is sold. Okay? So write as a multiplication expression to show how to determine the price of the item with the 10% discount applied. So for the first step, write a multiplication expression to show how to determine the price of an item with the 10% discount applied. So we would take $200 and we would times by 10%, which is also known as 0.10, and we would subtract that answer, which is $20. So $200 minus the $20, or your answer, equals $180. Another way to do this, and a shorter way to do this, is 200 times 0.9, because 90% is on and 10% is off. Okay? So 10% off, so 100 minus 10 equals 90. And 90 is 0.9. So 0.9 times 200 equals 180. That's the fast way to do it. Write a multiplication expression to show how to determine the total amount of tax on the item in Part A. So we know that $180 is the price, times total tax, which is 12%, because 5 plus 7 equals 12%. So 180 times 12%, and that's how we would find the amount of tax on that. So 12% is written as 0.12. So 0.12 times 180 total amount of tax is $21.60. What is the total cost of the item including tax? Including tax is $180 plus $21.60 equals $201.60. Caroline purchased a sweatshirt originally priced at $50. It was on sale for $25 off. PST where she lives is 5%. The GST is 5%. What is the cost of the sweatshirt before tax? You guys should pause this and do this at home. I will put up the answers here. So here's a show you guys, or show you know in your books. Please show that you know how much this is before you continue on to the homework. Example, 2% of a percent. Sports RS offers 10% discount one day and the additional 10% off the sale price the next day. Sports Galore offers a 20% discount one day. Kiefer wants to buy a new goalie mask at his regular price of $200 at both stores. Which store gives the better buy, and explain your reasoning. So at the first store, there's 10% off, so $200 at both stores. 10% off day one, so A1, is $180. The next day, day 2, it's going to be an additional $18 off, because 10% is $18, so it will be $162 here. We know that because 200 times 0.1 equals 20, so 200 minus 20 equals 180. So 180, because there's an additional 10% off, 180 times 0.1 equals 18. So 180 minus 18 equals 162. So at store B, it's just a flat 20% off. So 200 is the original price. 200 times 0.2 equals 40. 200 minus 40 equals 160. So the price is $160. What is a single percent discount? So B is the better buy because it's a cheaper price by $2. 10% plus 10% in this, because we're taking an additional 10% off this price, off the discounted price, which means you don't get as much. So what single percent discount is equivalent to a discount of 10% one day followed by an additional discount of 10% the next day? So that would be $38 divided by 2,200, which is 19%. If you'd like to read all this, just pause it and you can read it. Here's the final show you know. Please show me you understand in class, and then we can move on. If you're finished, please do the review at the end of the chapter. We will be having a test on Wednesday, or quiz on Wednesday, and we will have our exam next Tuesday after the long weekend. See you then.